Find the length and width of a rectangle that has an area of 64 square feet and a minimum perimeter. So let's start by drawing a rectangle. And we'll remind ourselves that rectangles have a length, actually they have two of them, and they have a width, actually two of those. So perimeter is twice the length plus twice the width. That is our primary equation. That is what we are attempting to minimize. Now that has two independent variables, length and width. But we know something about area. We know that area is equal to 64, and that's going to be equal to the length times the width. So if we solve for one, let's say length, we'll find that length is equal to 64 divided by W. And if we substitute that back into our formula, we will get that 2 times 64 over W plus 2W is my perimeter. That is something that we can minimize. So let's rewrite this a little bit first. P is equal to, we're going to have 128 W to the negative 1 plus 2W. P prime is therefore minus 128 W squared plus 2. And that should be W to the negative 2. So P prime, is equal to negative 128 W to the negative 2 plus 2. Now that's going to be undefined when W is 0. But let's note for a moment that if W is 0, we don't have a rectangle, so we're not really interested in that value. So let's consider what happens when this is 0. So 0 is equal to, rewriting, negative 128 over W squared plus 2. That says that 128 over W squared is equal to 2. And if we rearrange things here a little bit, we should end up finding that 64 is equal to W squared. We take square roots on both sides. W is equal to plus or minus 8. But the negative doesn't make any sense. These are lengths and widths. We expect them to be positive values, at worst 0. So we'll only consider the positive 8. We'll come back over here to length. Length is therefore 64 divided by positive 8, or 8 itself. So the length is 8, and that's going to be in feet, since our original units were square feet. Our W is also 8 feet. In other words, interestingly enough, we have ended up with a square that minimizes the perimeter of our rectangle. And keep in mind, squares are just special rectangles where all the sides have the same length.